Comedy legend Louis Black is bringing Goodbye Yeller Brick Road, the final tour, to Steelhouse on Sunday, February 25th. Tickets go on sale Friday, November 17th at 10 a.m. Get yours at steelhouseomaha.com.
Right now, new and current customers can get any phone for free at US Cellular, so you can connect with all your family members this holiday season. You can even call your aunt, who always makes you talk to your cousin, who's a dog. Or, maybe just send her a festive text. Get the gift of connection at US Cellular. Get any phone free today. US Cellular, built for us. Terms apply. Visit uscellular.com for details.
We value human connection with fewer distractions. US Cellular, built for us. Visit your US Cellular authorized agent, Cellular Advantage, located at 918 South Locust Street in Glenwood.
Hey, it's Storyworthy. Today on the show, activist and owner of OYT Cosmetics, Courtnei Lee, talks about being turned away at a hotel.
And I asked the gentleman at the desk if I can use the restroom. And he looks me up and down and gives me kind of like a frowning face. And it's just like, this is for hotel guests only. And I was like, okay, well, I used to perform here. I'm just on a medication that makes my bladder really irregular. So is there any chance you would just let me use the bathroom really quickly? It's kind of an emergency. And I can see his face. I kind of mentally realize that there is nothing I can say to this person because the second I walked in, I've been judged.
Today on the show, activist and owner of the makeup company OYT, Courtnei Lee, talks about being turned away at a hotel. Stay close.
Hey, it's Courtnei Lee, and you're listening to Storyworthy.
Welcome to Storyworthy. My name is Christine Blackburn, and I'm coming to you from Los Angeles, California. Whether you're a longtime fan of the show of almost 13 years, or you're a brand new listener, welcome to Storyworthy. Now, I hope you guys enjoyed the show last week with comedian Josh Edelman. Josh is a wonderful comedian, and he's actually a filmmaker now. He wrote and directed the documentary called Mentally Al, about Al Lubell, the comedian. And it's really flippin' good, man. You can go over to YouTube. You can buy Mentally Al, or rent it, for just $4. And Josh Edelman, he's just a really great comedian. And last week, he talks about Mentally Al, and he also talks about his worst film festival. And let me tell you, there's a lot of bad film festivals out there. So go back, you guys, and listen to Josh Edelman last week, but not today. Stay with me now, because today I have a really interesting person with me. She is not a comedian. How about that? But she's very interesting. She's a trans activist and an entrepreneur, and she owns a makeup company called OYT Cosmetics. OYT. What does that stand for, Courtnei?
It stands for "Oh, you're trans."
Oh, get out of here. It's that simple? Yeah. Oh, you're trans. Oh, my God, that's hilarious. And the idea of this makeup, is it for every woman or is it for trans people? What's the difference?
So it is for everybody. We focus on inclusivity, which includes everybody.
Sure.
But we do develop products that are specifically geared towards somebody that could be going through hormone replacement therapy. We have some pride capsules and items that we want to release for trans masculine people and non-binary people as well. So a lot of brands market to everybody, but there's actually no representation of LGBTQ people within there.
Yeah.
And we want to have everyone be welcome, which means including queer people.
What's the capsule you said? What is that?
So they're just like mini lines that we're going to release of products geared directly for a specific group of people. So I have friends that are trans masculine that have problems with acne sometimes because of the effects of testosterone. So we're working with dermatologists to try to create something to help battle that with them.
You mean like a pill? Are you talking about a pill?
No, it'd be like a face cream or wash or combination of both. Just mostly skincare.
I see. But you said the word capsule. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to understand that word.
Capsule is just what we call like small categories of products that we gear for
It encapsulates.
Yeah, it encapsulates this group of people, and that's what it's for.
That's the word I couldn't figure out you were using. You are so beautiful. I can't even tell you. And you've done a lot of modeling. Was that the modeling? I mean, who taught you that?
No one, really. Modeling was something that kind of came in with the business. When the business started to get recognition and being the face of the company, it just kind of came hand in hand. It's something that I've got a little bit more used to now, but I was extremely uncomfortable. I never aspired to be a model. I had done things when I was younger, when I was working in film, for just like small little shoots here or there, but I was never like a kid that wanted to grow up and be a model. It wasn't my thing. So I've gotten used to it now. It was definitely uncomfortable at first, but if you shoot with a great photographer, it's really fun.
Yeah. Now, I think that part of it is probably because it's your makeup company and you want to show the representation of the makeup, right? I mean, it's got to be part of it.
Totally. And it makes you excited to know that it's something that's going towards your company as well. Like every magazine cover that we do, whether it's geared specifically for me as a female entrepreneur or geared for OYT Cosmetics, it's a little bit easier to do it when I'm doing it for the cosmetic company because I'm like, okay, we're doing this for the business. Whereas when it's like, here, we're going to spotlight Courtnei Lee, it's terrifying.
Well, yeah. I mean, you've been in a lot of magazines and you've been on a lot of magazine covers like Grazia, Success, the Vancouver Sun. You are from Vancouver, right?
I am from Vancouver, born and raised, yeah.
Man, oh man. You know, I've never been there.
Really? Are you from LA?
No, I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, but I was a flight attendant and I've been a lot of places, but I never got to Vancouver. And I think part of it is I always thought I'd work there. Like I always thought I'd get a job in Vancouver and then I'll go. But I just never have. I don't know.
Well, maybe this will happen for you this year and I'll see you in Vancouver.
I mean, I've just heard all the best things about Vancouver. People say it's like a mixture of Sydney, Australia and New York City and Seattle. I mean, because there's so much green, right? And you're surrounded by mountains.
Yeah. So where I live, because I live just out of the downtown core, I moved out of the downtown core. So I basically live like in mountains. So you can go snowboarding and surfing in the same day if you wanted to.
Wow. Yeah. That's really neat. That's awesome. I want to go back real quick to your cosmetics. So are your cosmetics like, is it a heavier base? I mean, are you talking about more coverage? Is that part of the makeup?
Depending, we have options. One thing with launching foundations for me, speaking specifically to foundations, was there's not a ton of variety. You're either getting something that's going onto your face like a paste and it's not going to move, or you have like barely any coverage at all. So we actually offer 3 foundations and a tinted moisturizer so that you can pick, what you're going for and what agrees best with your skin. But gearing it towards trans feminine people that are going through hormone replacement therapy, something that happens when you do laser is your skin can get really irritated and it dries out quite a bit, especially with estrogen as well. So we just pack all of our foundations with nutritious vitamins that are great for your skin, that are going to help heal your skin while you're wearing foundation. And we try to make it so that it's going to help cover up any areas where somebody's trying to hide facial hair or any insecurities that they have, while still providing skincare and being good for them and helping correcting from underneath the skin as well.
I'm telling you, Courtnei, you hit a market. I'm so happy for you. Really, it's a big deal. I'm a big fan of the tinted sunscreen, or I don't know how to say it. It's like it's coverage, but it's also sunscreen. I really like that idea of just, covering your whole face with a sunscreen, but it also gives you a little bit of coverage. So you're not like, you don't have to add the sunscreen, then the moisture, because you can layer forever with your skin. I mean, you could, you wash your face, then you moisturize your face, then you put on the sunscreen, then you put on the base or, the concealer, then the base, and then the powder. And now you've got 6 layers on your face. Sometimes that's just too flippin' much, man. I would rather just have like I have like a 30 SPF tinted moisturizer, if that makes sense. Yeah.
That's basically, we have a tinted moisturizer that has SPF.
The sunscreen.
Like a light tint to it.
Yeah.
And it's so simple. Like, I obviously have like a little foundation on now, but It's just so easy to wake up, especially when you have like a quick Zoom call. If I'm like Zooming with any of my employees or we have like a business meeting with our partners, I just like literally rub it on my face and then show up.
Yeah. No, you're exactly right. You could put it on like between your fingers and just do your whole face, over your eyes, over everything. And then at least you have on a little bit of coverage and the sun protection. Makeup is so flippin' complicated, man. I'm telling you, I don't even know how you got into it because it's just so, like, I know for a fact that a lot of the makeup lines are the same, like the same ingredients, but then they have different marketing skills on top of them. So you know what I mean? Like when you learn that Estee Lauder is Clinique and Lancome is Estee Lauder and this is that, and they're all the same company.
Yeah, I think that's the challenging part with the business and kind of where I came into it was I used makeup as my armor when I first transitioned. It was my way of going out into the world and saying, I identify as a woman. This is me telling you. It was just something that made me feel brave and comfortable and able to go against adversity. So I learned a lot, like dove into makeup extremely hard. And that was my armor every day. But learning about makeup when I started the company was crazy because you learn about ingredients that people are using, what's happening right now in the industry, the lack of representation, the lack of availability, the lack of affordability.
So who teaches you? Who teaches you?
So I learned from really amazing people. So I was just so blessed. I went through a ton of different manufacturing options to try to find a company that was right for us to partner with. And the company that we chose was incredible. It's a female-led company, and she's an entrepreneur herself. She's helped other brands get started.
Is it Canadian?
And she's been Canadian, yeah. And she's been in the industry for years and years. So what we did was we kind of went between like friends and family and what they think was missing in the market and products that they wanted to have, our manufacturers, and then like dermatologists and people that understood skin and physicians' opinions on what happens when you're going through hormone replacement therapy. So we knew ingredients that would be beneficial. And it was just a really big collaborative experience that I learned a lot from.
Yeah, I mean, I can't even imagine. And then there's the packaging, and that's a whole nother thing. And the logo and all, I mean, so then you have to get a graphic designer, you have to get advertising people, or like when you start a business like this, there's so many angles, right?
Well, I was quite lucky. My business partner is probably one of the most talented people I know in the world. And he whipped up our logo and basically like our packaging ideas, all of our marketing materials when we rebranded the company like within a week and we were pretty much set to go. I don't really know what else to say besides he's just one of the most fantastic people in the whole world, and he's super talented.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's very exciting. And then I know that you've expanded and you've got different businesses. And here's what I really like this. I like this. You've got different businesses that are advocating for diversity, inclusion, education, and empowerment. Like, how can you lose? I mean, how that makes so much sense. It's for diversity, all different people, inclusion. Of course, anybody who wants to wear makeup can wear makeup. And then the next word is education. It's just learning. And then empowerment, just feel good about yourself. Fuck all those naysayers and the haters, because they're going to hate no matter. They're going to hate no matter. So you have to empower who you are. Fuck them. I mean, hey, that brings me to you have a YouTube channel. There's a lot going on your YouTube channel, but my favorite thing is your new show called I'm Not a Fucking Chef. It's just ridiculous. And here you are in a kitchen and you're dressed down and, you're in a sweatshirt or whatever, and somebody is shooting you and you're trying to cook. And you're just like, okay, look, you guys, I'm not a fucking chef, but if you want to make ramen noodles, which, by the way, I never knew anybody just make ramen. I thought that was only available like in the, dried or like in a cup.
I mean, it's very big in Vancouver, but like an actual ramen is extensive. It's like pho. You know what I mean? The broth is cooked for hours and hours and it's developed and it's so delicious. But I love noodle soup. Like carbs are definitely my weakness. So why not try and make ramen?
That cracked me up. I thought that was really funny. And also, okay, pho. When you say pho, is it pho or pho? It's pho.
I think it's pho.
And and that's PHO.
PHO. Yeah.
And that's a Vietnamese.
People call it pho, Vietnamese soup.
It's a Vietnamese soup. That soup, and I've only had it a couple of times. It's so tasty, you can't even believe it. Like how much taste is in that broth.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
I just learned how to make the broth. And I thought it was going to be a lot harder than it actually is. It's time consuming is the only thing. But it's probably my favorite food. Like I've been basically living off of it for the last week to try to drop some weight. And it's so packed full of nutrients. It's so delicious. It's really easy.
Yeah. And I would never say there's I mean, I guess there's carbs in pho because of the noodles, but or in ramen. But I don't consider that carbs. I don't know.
The ones that I eat are like packed with noodles and corn and
yeah, but still, I'm just saying like that's not like eating a hoagie or I mean that's what we say in
No.
Pittsburgh. What do you call that kind of sandwich in Vancouver, by the way?
a hoagie?
Or a submarine sandwich? What do they call it up
Yeah.
there?
I mean, probably just a sub.
A sub, yeah. In Pittsburgh,
Yeah.
we used to call them hoagies. And that, with all that bread and stuff, there I see carbohydrates. But I don't see carbohydrates in soup. Jesus, if I'm going to have a carbohydrate, I'm going to make it count. I'll have spaghetti or something.
That's my other weakness is pasta. Anything to do with noodles. Basically, you can just count me in.
That's really funny. And today you bring forth the topic, turned away from a hotel. Turned away from a hotel. And I'm anxious to hear this. Don't tell me the story yet, but are you turned away because they were booked?
No, it was actually just an experience, I think, that was kind of landed around discrimination and somebody's intolerance and forced me to have to endure an embarrassing moment in my life that I'll remember forever.
Oh, my God. Okay, turned away from a hotel. I'm trying to think. I've never been turned away from a hotel that I can think of. I mean, if it was oversold or something. I remember one time being in Miami. I was a flight attendant, and we all went out, and things were getting crazy, like at this bar, like a little much for me. So I'm like, I got to get out of here because I won't, I got to wake up tomorrow. We got to fly or whatever. And, well, sometimes flight crews, like we're not supposed to drink 14 hours before a flight, but we sometimes got confused. Is it 14 hours? Or is it 14 feet from a plane? I could. It's hard. Which is it? Anyway, so I'm in Miami. We're staying at this Hyatt. I'm at the bar. I'm like, I got to get out of here. So I get a cab and it takes me to the Hyatt. And he takes me to the Hyatt, and I got my room key. I go up to the 12th floor, and my room's not there because I was in the wrong Hyatt.
No.
There's many Hyatts in Miami. In Miami. So I wasn't turned away, but man, I fucked up. I was in the wrong hotel altogether. So that was pretty funny. Anyway.
I've done that in Las Vegas where it definitely took me a couple hours to figure out which hotel I was in.
Oh, really? Yeah.
I finally figured it out, yeah.
When you see the mess in Las Vegas, what do you think as a Canadian?
Oh, God, I absolutely love it.
Yeah.
It's just like a trash panda that I want to keep hugging. It's so much fun.
It's such a mess that it's great,
yeah.
right?
It's a dumpster fire that you just want to like dance in.
Right.
Like it's just wonderful.
But the best day in Vegas is the day you get there. And the second best day is the day you leave.
I mean, the day that I left, I was so hungover and I'm not a great flyer. So that was probably one of the worst days of my life was trying to get onto that plane.
Yeah.
But I won a bunch of money. I went down for my best friend's 21st birthday. I was only supposed to go down there for, I think, 2 nights, 3 days.
Uh-huh.
And I won a ton of money when we were down there. So we all extended our trip for
gosh.
the week.
How did you win? How did you win?
I won a couple jackpots. I think the first one was a slot jackpot, and then I hit on roulette. And I just wanted to have like a moment where I felt really cool in Vegas. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to walk up. I'm going to throw $100 on to Black 11, and I'm just going to walk away because I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm that cool.
Yeah.
And so I was like walking away feeling so just like in that moment and proud of myself with my hair or whatever. And all of a sudden I just hear Black 11 behind me, and I look at my friend and I was like, what did they just say? And she's like, Courtnei, you won. And I was like, oh, so we just fucking win. So I had just won like 3,000 on like a slot jackpot, and then
God.
like yeah, a bunch of money on roulette, and then I hit on another jackpot. So we were up probably like 8 grand or nine
Oh
grand that
my
day.
God, that's
And
amazing.
we were just like, you know what? We're just gonna stay. If we
What
this is gonna pay for the whole
a
trip. Who cares?
blast. I knew an old flight attendant friend, old Jim Dillon. Jim Dillon, that was his trick, to walk through a casino and say, "Hey, Christine, see this $100? I'm going to put it right here for you on black or on red." And I'm like, get out of here. And he did it all the time. And most every time, somehow it doubled. And then
Yeah.
he'd give me both hundreds. I mean, it was like, what? But I mean, I guess that's pretty cool, man. That's pretty cool. You can walk through Vegas and throw down $100 bills, That's
Right?
That's
It
neat.
was fun. And then
Yeah.
I won off it. So it was better. I had even more.
I can't. No, my life is a gamble. I can't do that. I mean, I was in Vegas a couple weeks ago, and I did win. I was playing blackjack. I won $161, and then I stopped because I wanted to be up, So I
But that paid for your night. And you
Exactly.
should always stop when you're up.
Exactly.
That's the big trick.
I know. That is the trick. No doubt about it. All right. We're going to get over to your story in just a second. But before we do, I wanted to remind everybody that we are playing Story Smash, the storytelling game show, this Saturday night, May 20th, at the Lyric Hyperion in Los Angeles. So if you haven't seen Story Smash, get on over there. It's the funniest game in LA. Go over to storysmashshow.com and you'll see the ticket link. You can also follow Story Smash on Instagram at Story Smash, and the ticket link is there as well. Tickets are only $15, and the dream team is back. We've got Melissa Peterman, Blanca Patch, and Danny Zucker as the expert judges. So come on down, you guys, to the funniest show in Los Angeles, Story Smash, Saturday, May 20th. All right, you guys, she's here right now, Courtnei Lee. Like I said, she's a trans activist and an influencer and an entrepreneur who was born and raised in Vancouver. And you got into this makeup company, and it is really taken off. It's called OYT, which I didn't know stood for, oh, you're trans. Wait. Which stands for, oh, you're trans. Like, it's so funny. That's a very funny title. And I'm just really impressed with all of your success. You've expanded to own 5 corporations. And so you are all over the place. And you've been featured in LA Weekly and Life and Style. Also in Hot Living. Is that how you say that? Hot? H-A-U.
How beauty, yeah.
H-A-U-T-E. Hout. Is that French? What is that?
I'm not 100% sure.
Hout Living, Grazia, and more. You are a wonderful advocate for trans rights and visibility globally, and I think you are beautiful. You guys can find a lot more
much.
about Courtney over at her website, CourtneyLee.com, and that's Courtney with an E-I at the end. Instead of E-Y, it's CourtneyEI.com, CourtneyLee.com. All right, you guys, wherever you are, put your hands together for the very talented Courtnei Lee.
Yeah. So when I first transitioned, you go through all of these different kind of processes of coming to terms with what's happening. And I sought out just some therapy personally to try to make sure that what I was doing, I was really confident in and made sense for me. And so when you go into the steps, if you decide that you want to take hormone replacement therapy, there's a couple of different options for hormones that you go onto, but I went on to one called spirolactolone, which is like a testosterone blocker, but it has another use pharmaceutically as help for your kidney. So what I didn't realize was that having a healthy kidney and being on something that is meant also to help kidney function, it just makes your bladder a little bit iffy at times. And, when I first transitioned, I was 25, I was working in bars, I was living downtown. So it was just like a fun place to be and party. And, I already had the bladder of a pregnant woman if I was drunk before transitioning. But you add a pharmaceutical to it and it gets a little bit iffy. So me and my friends were downtown one night. We had gone actually to a comedy show and saw a couple of our friends perform. We'd had a few beers, and then afterwards we were saying goodbye to our friends, and the show had kind of closed its doors before I got to use the bathroom. So I was like, that's okay. I'll just quickly whip home and, go use my own bathroom. So on my walk, I'm walking past the Century Plaza, and there's just that feeling where you know that you're going to fail immediately and you're not going to make it to that door. And I had that moment where I was like, oh, there's not a single chance that I'm going to make it that entire way. And at this point, it's quite late. It's probably like 3:30 in the morning. So there's no restaurants or anything open to pop into.
What city are you in?
Vancouver. I'm in downtown Vancouver.
Because we have a Century Plaza in LA. That's all.
Oh, well, I used to love the Century Plaza. I stopped at this hotel because I used to perform at this hotel with Tony and Tina's wedding when I was part of the cast.
That's blast.
So I had this beautiful image of this hotel in my head, and I was just like, hey, somewhere safe. I'm just going to go use the bathroom quickly. And this is early in my transition too. So I'm wearing heels. I'm already like 6'1", so I'm probably like 6'4" in the heels. Full face of makeup on, have like a weird, awkward short bob because I'm trying to grow my hair out. So it wasn't the best look for Courtnei, but I was trying to just be confident in who I was. So I strut into this hotel, just expecting a pleasant experience as I've always had there. And I asked the gentleman at the desk if I can use the restroom. And he looks me up and down and gives me kind of like a frowning face, and it's just like, this is for hotel guests only. And I was like, okay, well, I used to perform here. I'm just on a medication that makes my bladder really irregular. So is there any chance you would just let me use the bathroom really quickly? It's kind of an emergency. And as we're talking here and I can see his face, I kind of mentally realize that there is nothing I can say to this person because the second I walked in, I've been judged. I don't use the word transphobic often unless it is, about somebody that is deliberately expressing hate towards a group of people. But it just had that energy of this person already doesn't like me. They have, a preconceived notion of who I am or what I stand for, and they don't agree with it. And so sure enough, he says no. And we kind of go back and forth for a minute because there's nothing else around. And I realize that if I have to leave here, there's going to be a problem. And I'm going to be in the middle of a very busy downtown Vancouver street wearing these really quite light jeans and this like dressy top and my heels. Needless to say, after going back and forth and pleading my case, he still said no and quite like rudely and abruptly told me to leave before he called security. So by this point, we'd probably been going for 10 or 15 minutes back and forth, me trying to plead to get to the bathroom. And so there was no time now at this point. As soon as I left the hotel, my bladder just released. And I had these beautiful jeans on that I absolutely loved so much. And I was so embarrassed. And I'm standing in the middle of the street trying to figure out what I can possibly do. And so I see
How far are you away from your apartment or
I'm
wherever you
still
live?
quite a ways. Like I'm a couple blocks from Davie, but I live in like the deep West End. So it wasn't walking distance, especially going back onto Davie where I worked and where everyone knew me. I couldn't be walking around with piss-covered pants and be able to ever live it down. So I looked around. There was another hotel that was a few blocks away. So I just kind of went scrambling for that hotel and was like trying to just pull my shirt down as far as I could so nobody could see anything. And I make it to the hotel and it's a beautiful lady sitting at the desk. And I was like, look, I just peed my pants. I really need to use your bathroom. And so she kindly lets me out to the bathroom, asks if I need anything. And luckily the top that I had on was like a pretty long top. And so I ended up taking my jeans off, throwing them in the garbage. My favorite pair of jeans. I still miss them to this day.
Oh.
And I threw them into the garbage and I pulled my shirt down, just like cleaned myself up and was like, okay, like this was an awful experience, but this is something I'm going to remember one day. And I'm going to tell this story. I'm just going to laugh about it and it's going to be fine. And so I walked home. I mean, probably looking quite a bit like a prostitute by that point because of how short my dress top was.
And it's the middle of the night.
It's 3:30. I'm in like 4-inch pumps with now no jeans, just this tiny shirt that's like barely coming up to like the top of my thigh. I'm like trying to run home. So it wasn't the best experience, but it was something that I learned and that taught me that no matter who I am as a person, no matter how great I show up for other people or what I'm trying to do in the world, there will always be people with preconceived notions that I won't be able to have any sort of like an input with. They've made up their
Right.
mind already.
Yeah, no, I know what you're saying. Haters are going to hate. But what I'm trying to understand is that guy who turned you away, did he think you were homeless? Did he think you were, what you think he thought, what?
I think he disagreed because I was very obviously trans at that time. And I think he disagreed with my life choices.
Yeah, but going to the bathroom, what does that have to do with anything?
I think it was just his power trip of his way of saying no, like I'm not going to give you anything, and trying to just have his power in a moment of feeling like he was superior in some way. I'm not totally sure, but I didn't look homeless. Like my hair was done. I had a full face of makeup on. I had jewelry on, like nice top in my purse. And so I don't think he would have thought I was like...
Was he worried about what bathroom you were going to use or something stupid like that?
I have no idea. And honestly, the hotel was dead. There wasn't a single person in the lobby at that time. So I don't even know why it would have mattered. But
yeah, exactly.
I think it was because it felt to me like because I was, very obviously trans in that time in my life, it was just something he didn't agree with. And this was his way of having power over something and being able to say no.
Yeah, it must just be really devastating, though, to be judged by your clothes or the way you look or the way you chose to style your hair or by your shoes. Like, what is that?
I mean, I think when you first transition, it's hard because, especially right now with everything that's happening in the world, it's just so dangerous for trans people. But specifically, with what's happening in the States, it's given a voice to these people that want to just preach hate and go and disrupt people's lives, like quite literally and physically sometimes. So when you're walking around as a trans person, especially early in transition, when you're uncomfortable in your own skin and you're trying to get comfortable, but then you also are going up against adversity every day, it's extremely challenging to try to find balance in your mental health and how to overcome the fear of other people. Because when you transition, you stop fearing the world as a whole and you come to terms with who you are, because that is what's going to save your life. You know?
It's your soul. It's like inside of you.
Yeah, exactly. And so when you do that, there's a piece of you that kind of accepts that you're going to come up against adversity at some point in your life. But there's also just, people transition not in fear of themselves, but in fear of the reaction of others. If everyone felt like they were going to be accepted for who they are and be loved for who they are, then nobody would have fear about coming out or having conversations with friends and family or people that they care about. It's the fear of other people's reaction and judgment to them, right?
How did it go with your family?
So my dad's never really been in the picture, so that was easy. But my mom likes to think that she is a little bit more Christian than she practices, if that makes sense. So I think when there's shocking moments that involve me coming out, like when I was 16, I came out as gay, and then when I was 25, I came out as trans. And so she had to go through the process twice. Both times threw her for a loop, and it definitely took a minute. And I think she had to kind of reflect on what she considers her religious beliefs and how to kind of come to terms with all of that. But my mom's incredibly supportive. She's so beautiful now.
Good. She has to come to terms with the reality that, you're not the gender you were born with.
Exactly. And when I first came out at 16, I think I was young, and she, I think, had more fear around what it meant for me to come out as, a gay person in that time. And then when I came out as trans, I just don't think it's something she ever expected. I think it really threw her for a loop, and she felt like she was going to lose me. And a lot of misconceptions about trans people when they transition, because of how trans people are portrayed in media, and all of the representation. It's like either you're going to be a prostitute or you're, mentally unstable or you're this or you're that. So I think my mom had those preconceived notions of growing up, in that time of media where there was no representation.
That fear.
Complete fear.
Right.
So
right.
Took her a minute.
I had a comedian on a couple weeks ago, Belinda Carroll, and she's LGBTQ activist, and she's actually performed drag a couple of times. And she was talking about, and her take on it was that now that gay marriage is fine and nobody even thinks twice about gay marriage or gay people having children. I mean, thank God that's behind us. Now they got to find a new group to punch down.
Yeah. And I listened to that episode and I found a lot of what she was saying really beautiful and inspiring. Especially when it came to trans people on that topic and also drag performers. The thing is, Republicans, and this is just my opinion of American politics as a Canadian, but Republicans are constantly trying to shift a spotlight of hate to something so that they can create fear and advance agendas that they want without having to ever really stand up and talk about what's happening. And,
right.
She was talking about the mayor or the governor or whoever it was that was one of the people that was supporting the Don't Say Gay or the anti-drag bill. And then they're going and messaging twinks on Twitter. And that's the funny part is, like, as a trans woman,
it's the best.
I have thousands of messages of people that are closeted, that are reaching out in explicit sexual contact, that when if my social media team and me are ever reviewing or just trying to get through some of the junk, we'll look sometimes at pages where they're coming from and it'll be a hyper-Christian extremist page, or it will be somebody that has posted like extreme, right-wing Republican views or this or that. And there's them sending me nudes saying that they think I'm beautiful and blah, blah, blah. And I'm quite very openly trans on my Instagram. So it's funny to know how it's such a double-edged sword, but that is the problem, and that is what's creating so many unsafe environments for trans people, especially trans women and trans women of color right now, is that belief that, you can go behind closed doors and do what you want with a trans woman and then go out in front of everybody else and, preach hate against that group of people or discrimination or try to have these bills passed that are, quite literally going to affect people's lives and, possibly affect trans youth in a way where they could take their own lives. So.
Yeah. Belinda was talking and she started crying, because not about her situation, but about young kids that are coming out and that have to live in fear because their parents are just flat out ignorant. Yeah. And she got so upset. I felt so bad for her. It gives me chills to remember because, that's the movement. The movement is, look, I got through, but all these kids, that are being completely misrepresented in especially the southern states. And then they go on about like what bathroom you use. And I'm like, when we're on an airplane, we all use the same bathroom.
It doesn't matter.
Who cares?
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, they're confusing the gender of somebody with sex. They're two different things.
Well, they're preaching that, like the Republicans are who are sexualizing trans people and gender identity, and it has nothing to do with sex. And they're the ones that are preaching this now when it comes down to children, and they're opening this bag of discrimination against trans people, saying that we're preaching sex. It's the exact opposite. Nobody's talking about sex here, and we shouldn't be talking about children's bodies. The only people that should be talking about a child's body is their parent and their physician, and that is that. It's nobody else's business, and it's not a conversation that ever needs to be had or opened up by anybody besides those, individuals that are
of course.
So it is really hard, and I think, I base everything that I do in my businesses and in my life and in my content around trying to make an impact for trans youth. And that's what I remind myself every day when I feel scared or when I feel like I can't do it or when I'm, feeling nervous about hate messages that I'm getting online. Trans people get death threats. We get such aggressive, in-depth, threatening messages that it's hard sometimes to just completely block out of your head. But I remind myself, if I can affect any trans youth and make them feel loved or give them a safe space or make them feel inspired and give them a moment to just have relief from the world right now, then that's what I'm doing it for.
So let me ask you, because you were a white man, doesn't it seem like white men are the worst?
Well, I've always been mixed race. I've been, I guess, conceived as like a white male for a portion of my time, but they are the worst in some senses.
I think so.
But you look at how it goes down in a series of acceptance, like white cis males accepted. And then you look at where the queer community kind of came in, and the first thing that was kind of come to terms with acceptance, which was gay white males, cis. So then you look at what's happening now, the more that you add on to, and I can't remember who I saw that said this, but like the more adjectives that somebody adds on, the more discrimination. So if we're talking about a Black, deaf, trans, plus size model, all of a sudden there's this list of things that people have an opinion on. Whereas when you look at like, let's say white passing trans woman, all of a sudden there's a little bit more of a door that's open. And I'm not saying that it's great by any means, but when you look at trans women of color and what they're going through right now and how unsafe they are, it's up to everybody that has a foot in that door to try to kick it down and make sure that we can have as big of an impact as we can for them. And that falls on white cis men having conversations about their sexuality because they're all so scared of what it means to love a trans person. And yet it's, the most looked up thing on fucking Pornhub. So we all know that the Pornhub is feeding out real statistics of what all these politicians are beating their meat to, but they won't go down and stand up for the same rights of those people.
Do you think it's a generational thing? Do you think in 20 years, when a lot of these politicians are dead, do you think there'll be a change then?
I think that there is an opportunity for that to happen if we continue with the advocacy and with the representation and education as we are trying to accomplish now. When you look at the impact that Disclosure had when it was released, and it was such a life-changing documentary for every trans person to be able to look and just feel so validated and understood, and also have language to show to their friends and family and say, look, like this is factual information and this is how this has impacted me in my life. Moments like that are massive steps forward. The work of Laverne Cox.
What's the name of
Disclosure.
That? Wait, what's Disclosure? And that's a film.
It's a documentary on Netflix. Laverne Cox is a part of it. Basically, a massive cast of trans, amazing, incredible individuals.
Laverne Cox is so beautiful.
She's just stunning.
Holy
and
cow.
She's so smart and she's so talented. I fuel a lot off of her energy and her content to pick me up when I'm feeling low.
She's very articulate. And she's been around a while. So, probably one of the pioneers.
Absolutely, 100%. And the role that she had that, kind of introduced her to fame with Orange is the New Black was such a well-thought and well-performed role that created so much validity in having a trans character be a part of a cast. So I'm really grateful for everything she does. But that movie was very eye-opening. So if things keep going like that, I think that we do have an opportunity. But hate speech runs deep in families that teach hate. And, we don't know what hate is until we're taught it. So it has to start with something happening somewhere in family lines where somebody says, no, this isn't right. And these people deserve to have their space and they deserve to have their rights and their language and their body autonomy. And so it's hard to get into those places when you're raised in a very strong family with either, religious or political beliefs that go against that. But hopefully, with education and representation, we can break down those barriers and make an impact at some point in the next 20 years throughout those generations. And then, maybe we might be in a better place.
You are such a wonderful person and you're articulate. You're so smart and you're It's exciting. The whole makeup line is exciting. And, I don't know. You just look like a beautiful woman to me. I mean, when I look at your Instagram, I don't know who would look at your Instagram and how could you, I don't know. I don't see anything but beauty.
And I think if we can look at everyone that way, rather than stereotyping into, is this a quote unquote passing female, or is this, somebody that does look very masculine and has makeup on and has masculine features, but identifies as female. If we can just look at everyone and see the beauty in them, regardless of what that person is bringing in terms of how they present themselves, then I think we have the ability to step back and start loving people for who they are, rather than the things that we've been taught, which is, are they tall? Are they skinny? Are they white? Are they cis?
Yeah.
And when we break down those barriers, then we have a really good place to start talking.
You guys, check out Courtney's Instagram. It's at Courtnei Lee. And again, it's Courtney with E-I at the end instead of E-Y. Courtnei Lee. And also her website, CourtneiLee.com. One more question. We're going to wrap this up. Who gets to choose the magazine cover?
It kind of depends.
Do you get a choice?
I get a say for sure. It's a collaboration between photographers, magazine team, PR team, and me. So whoever has shot it will kind of send off, all of the best images. I get to go through ones and pick my favorites. And then it's kind of a collaborative moment between editors and PR management of what they think would do best with that brand.
If you didn't want a photo out there, can you say no? No, don't put that out there.
Yeah, I have a really wonderful team. So if I ever was I absolutely hate this picture, let's not use that, then for sure. But when you do something completely for somebody else, you start to kind of lose a little bit of that decision making. If you were going to go and shoot for, let's say, Vogue or somebody, I'm sure that you get to look through some proofs, but they're going to choose the image that they think is best. But when you get to that level of shooting for something large like that, where they have that decision-making process, they're going to pick something where you look absolutely fabulous. So it doesn't matter.
I guess so. But, it's just funny. I have a girlfriend who's a graphic designer, and she would tell me, looking through magazines, and I'd be like, oh, Oprah's favorite things or whatever. And she'd say, look at everything on this page. You see how everything's green? That's the style of this page. So they're going to go with green product or green things that are green products or whatever color, because they just wanted to jive with this page. Is that really Oprah's favorite thing? No fucking way. Has nothing to do with it. It's the design of the page.
That's PR and marketing. And when you get into especially with Oprah, obviously, when she does a cover, there's teams working that are making all those decisions for her. She just has to show up, I'm sure, at this point. But
I would never want to be on the cover of every magazine. She's on the cover of everything. Every one of her magazines, she's on the cover. It's what is that? We know what you look like.
Yeah, that's just branding.
I know, but I don't get it. And I'm sure she does all of that in 2 photo shoots. She probably has 2 or 3 days a year that she does every one of those outfits, because there's no way they're going to put that much time and energy into her face and makeup without using the image a lot. So I would think it's changing clothes.
Yeah, changing clothes and hairstyles. Probably, I would say 3 shoots in a day is probably realistic, where you would get, multiple images from, but it
sounds
is a lot
exhausting.
of work.
It sounds exhausting. It really does. I'm a comedian, and, I've done some acting. And for me, the hardest part of this whole business is getting my headshots taken, because I'm not a model. I don't know the tricks, and I don't have that confidence to have that ooh, now I'm sexy, because I don't see that part. You know what I mean? Modeling is a whole thing. It's a whole different thing.
It is a whole thing. The tips that I learned, because I am not a model either, and I was terrified and I was uncomfortable, was, a couple things on YouTube that photographers said that work really well in shots that I looked up. And then I almost had to just give myself, if you're an actor, just picture yourself in a role in the moment of doing the photo shoot where you are a confident model and you are this person. And sometimes, when I was just in New York, we did a billboard in New York for OYT Cosmetics. And we did a photo shoot in Times Square with a billboard, and I was terrified, and there were so many people looking at me, and I was like, okay, I'm not Courtney. I am somebody else that this is their company. I'm a powerful businesswoman. I'm confident. I'm sexy. I'm this, I'm that. And I was just like, hey, I'm going to roll.
Man, that takes so much confidence. I'm very impressed by that. I heard a tip that when you get your headshots taken, that you're supposed to make your eyes go around like a clock. Like your eyes are going around a clock so that you keep having different looks. And then you're also supposed to say with your teeth open like, hey. And you're looking, hey. But then you look insane. What is that?
I don't know who gave me those tips. I'm not sure.
But the best photo sessions I've ever had was when a guy like this guy, Jefferson Graham, takes my photo and he says, Christine, just do your act and I'll snap. You know what I mean? Or just do your stuff. And then I'll start snapping so that I don't have to look like, hey.
Totally.
So hard.
There's tricks and angles with your face, and whoever's shooting you, if you're using a good photographer, they should be able to direct you in a way that's going to compliment you, and that's what I would do. Pretend that you are a confident model, take the direction, and, roll with it. The more you do it, the easier it gets. And the more pictures you see of yourself, the more you learn what you also don't like. And you're like, okay, I'm not going to do that again. I'm not going to do this again.
I have a friend named Eugenia Kuzmina, who's one of the top models in the whole flipping world. She's so beautiful. It's insane. Eugenia Kuzmina. And she's Russian. And she's so beautiful, and so her confidence is out of this world. I am blown away by watching her. She'll do this the catwalk thing, and she's stepping her knees are coming up and her heels are huge and she's stepping, and I'm like, how do you fucking not fall down? What if you fell?
Well, some do, but practice makes perfect. It's a lot of putting on heels and a lot of walking.
I'm very impressed with models. I always have been. And I'm impressed with you, Courtnei Lee.
Oh, thank you so much. It's been an absolute honor to be on here.
Oh, thanks so much. And I hope that never happens in a hotel to you again. Fuck those people.
Same.
Man.
I think I would just have more energy this time. I would tell them I'm using your bathroom. Fucking move.
Yeah, I'm walking over there.
Bye.
Yeah, by the time security comes, I'm out of the bathroom.
Exactly.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, man. All right, you guys. Make sure you check out Courtney over at Instagram at Courtney Lee, and also her website, CourtneyLee.com. And, of course, you can follow Storyworthy over there at Storyworthy, and then follow the website at StoryworthyPodcast.com. All right, you guys. One more time on behalf of the very talented Courtney Lee, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
My name is Christine Blackburn, saying make it a Storyworthy week.
Thanks for joining us on the Storyworthy Podcast. We'll be back next week with all new stories. Subscribe to Storyworthy on iTunes and visit the Storyworthy website at StoryworthyPodcast.com.
When you download the Baker's app, you have easy access to savings every day. Get the most out of weekly sales and receive personalized coupons to save on your favorite items, all while earning 1 fuel point for every $1 spent. Baker's makes it easy to save while you shop, whether it's in-store or online, so you get the most value out of every trip, every time. Download the Baker's app now to save big on your next purchase. Baker's, fresh for everyone. Must have a digital account to redeem offers. Restrictions may apply. See site for details.